Okay, I'll go ahead and call us to order. If you want to do our roll call, please, Shelby.
Cliff McCormick, Piper Stromat, Brandon Panganiban,
Present.
Todd Morgan, John Cavett, present. Cassie Courtney, present. Nathan Bird, Matt McDonald,
Present.
Skip Pond.
Present. Okay, if you could do our swearing in for us, please.
If you plan to speak, if you'll please just stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
All right, let the record reflect that Cliff McCormick has now entered the meeting, and I'll go over our rules of procedure this morning. The order of business, and first of all, we are live streaming this morning. I want to remind everyone, for commissioners, please use your microphone so everyone can hear, and if you come up to the podium, I think the mic is live and everything's being recorded online. So the order of business for hearing COA cases will be as follows this morning. Each case will have a staff presentation, an applicant presentation of no more than 10 minutes, followed by comments by others for or against the project for 5 minutes total, after which the applicant will have a time for rebuttal of no more than 5 minutes, and then the commission members will discuss the case and make a motion. A certificate of appropriateness will be issued within a week of this hearing. If you defer your case or if you have conditional items to bring back before the commission, you must contact staff and ask to be added to the agenda for the next meeting. You will not automatically be added to the agenda. If you plan to speak, you must be sworn in and sign in when you come up to the podium, please. There's a laser pointer on the podium. If you need to point out anything on the screen, it's there for your convenience. If you would like to defer your case to be heard at a later date, a deferral must be requested prior to the statement of the case's motion. If you leave the meeting room, we ask that you please exit the wooden doors before speaking or talking on your cell phone. All construction work must meet the certificate of appropriateness and design guidelines as approved by this commission or staff. If plans change, a new application will be required. If work is not started within 6 months of issue date, a new COA will need to be issued. A COA is not a building permit or a land disturbing permit. Please contact the land disturbing office or the building permit office prior to starting your project. The COA must be posted in a visible location or on file on the property until the project is complete. Applicants are respectfully requested to ensure that they have submitted the required application and supporting documents prior to this meeting and to adhere to the time limits as previously explained. Board members are requested to limit questions and comments on the case to only those within the purview of this board. Code setback variance and zoning issues are not within the purview of the commission and will have to be addressed by the applicant with the appropriate personnel within the city. Reminder again, this meeting is being recorded. Next, we need to approve our minutes from last month's meeting. If commission has had a chance to review those, I'll take a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Moved by Cliff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved. We'll move into old business, please, Cassie.
All right, we will get started this morning under old business, and here's a quick overview of the staff reviews that were conducted since we last met. And we'll move into our first old business case. So this is case HZ 2554 at 203 Eveningside Drive in the Ferger Place neighborhood. It is a historic structure circa 1900. The proposed project is new openings, deck railing, and material change. This case came before you all back in 2022. So here is an aerial of the property and then the property within the Ferger Place overlay, the property photos, neighboring property photos, and then the application information provided by the applicant. So here is some additional context of the neighborhood, and then the front elevation changes. We want to change a single window on the left side to a triple window that mimics the original one to the right of the front door. The single window that is removed will relocate to the left elevation. The new window will be wood clad, simulated divided light. Item 2, change the dormer materials from asbestos siding to real cedar shake. Item 3, remove vinyl shutters from all windows and replace shutter on dormer only with wooden operable style with dogs. And item 4, replace the existing metal chimney cap with a clay cap. Here is the Sanborn showing the original front porch of the property. And then the east elevation changes. So again, replace that metal chimney cap, change the dormer materials, add 2-panel glass patio door to the breakfast room, the wall to the left of the front door, and add 2 small windows in the master bedroom on the right rear. So you can see the existing and proposed. Rear elevation changes. Again, change that dormer material from asbestos siding to real cedar shake. Remove the 1960s railing and replace with wood balusters and 6x6 wood columns. And then the left elevation changes. The dormer materials, a single window will be relocated from the front, moves to the side. Remove the 1960s railing and replace with wood balusters and 6x6 wood columns, and exchange the center window position with right window position. And then some applicants of Craftsman bungalows that were provided by the applicant. And the relevant Ferger Place guidelines, we're looking at 5B, entrances, porches, and steps, 5C, windows and doors, and 5E, materials. So item B, entrances, porches, and steps. Number 3, original porch materials should be preserved or replaced when beyond repair. Such materials include wood, terracotta, tile, slate, brick, marble, stone, and stucco. Other materials may be substituted for these when it is not economically feasible. The applicant is proposing to remove the later metal porch balustrade and columns and replace them with wooden columns and a balustrade. Item C, windows and doors. Number 2, existing window and door openings and hardware, including window sash, glass, lintels, sills, architraves, shutters, doors, pediments, hoods, steps, transom, side lights, and all hardware should be retained and repaired if possible. The applicant is proposing to remove vinyl shutters and reinstall wooden operable shutters on the dormer only. And item 6, new window and door openings should not be introduced. The applicant is proposing to install multiple new door and window openings. The applicant is proposing a new front window on the front elevation that was previously an open porch, and French doors on the existing porch on the front elevation. Applicant is proposing 2 new windows on the east elevation at the rear and 1 new window on the south elevation at the rear. And then item E for materials. Number 1, original building materials should be retained. The applicant is proposing to install cedar shake siding on the existing dormer. Applicant provided examples from a period-appropriate home catalog showing the cedar shake siding as a relevant material. The home catalog also shows a clay chimney cap. The applicant is proposing to replace the metal chimney cap with a clay cap. Item 4, replacement wood siding should be consistent with the original size, direction, and lap dimension. Diagonal siding should not be used. Vertical siding should not be used. Original wall shingles should be maintained where possible or replaced with a compatible material. The applicant is proposing to install cedar shake siding on the existing dormer. Again, the applicant provided examples from a period-appropriate home catalog showing the cedar shake siding as a relevant material. And we'll just have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Guess I don't have a microphone. Deep Rock, 203 Eveningside Drive. Cassie, I think you did an excellent job with that. It's pretty much exactly what I'm trying to do. I've got a hard copy for you. Yeah, I think that presentation was the same presentation that was approved in '22. The only thing that's changed is there's one less person moving into it. So that's kind of what stalled the original construction, and yeah, ready to get it going now. And if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you so much. Also let the record reflect that Todd Morgan has entered the meeting. We'll move into community comments and comments by other persons. I do want to note that we did receive a letter of opposition, but if you would like to speak, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Eric Smith, 209 Eveningside Drive, just down the street. You've got my letter of opposition. I won't read through it. I just feel that we're here today because 90+% of this proposal is against our guidelines. I'm just here to encourage you to strictly enforce our guidelines. Noteworthy guidelines. Cassie's done a great job. Just reiterating, page 13, no new doors and window openings. The original size, shape, and materials of windows and doors should be preserved. or replaced if beyond repair. So, page 14, showing new windows and door openings should not be introduced. And then also page 14, details, additional architectural details should not be introduced where none originally exist, i.e. the French doors. Page 15, materials, original building materials, wood, brick, mortar, stone, terracotta should be retained. So I'm not against shake siding. Yes, it's historically appropriate. It just exists nowhere else on this home. So as we like an element with French doors and we like an element of shake cedar siding, we're kind of confusing historical elements on this home. We're making a large change with this window in the front. We're not supposed to be increasing the sizes of the windows. We're not supposed to be moving windows around, and we're not supposed to be putting in new windows. So just please strictly enforce our guidelines, which many of the proposed aspects of this project are contrary to. Thank you.
I better jump in here.
Thank you.
I was actually going to get to go first since I'm here in support. My name is John Brennan. I reside at 1512 South Hawthorne Street, not in Ferger Place. And the reason for that's manure, and I'll come back around to that. But this is a question that was asked and answered. We had length discussion about this and agreed it was acceptable. And for, not for everyone, John, this won't mean anything to you, but Dana Moody voted in favor of this, okay? Let's never change an opening, voted in favor of this. The thing about this house, and let me speak to my relationship to this property. The owner who sold to the applicant was my client. I represented her in the sale. So I know this house intimately, and there's nothing very original about this house. That the question of the 3 windows on the left side of the front elevation, that's a closed-in porch. It was absolutely done sometime in the 70s, and they shopped in the Sears catalog. John and Joe Boyer were the owners prior to my client, and they purchased them in 1974, and it looked just like this. It did not look like this in the 1920s. Okay? There's so much obvious change to the stucco on the exterior of this home. And I would invite you to come into Ferger Place and show me another Craftsman home that has a triple window set and a single window on the front elevation, because there isn't one. So that piece alone is absolutely a good idea. I don't think we changed anything about this when I wrote the motion for approval. I think we let it go just like it was, and then life happened, and the applicant couldn't get started. And now he's just looking for you to say, I stand behind what I said before, and allow him to move forward. But there's so little that is original or accurate about this house that these alterations move the needle in the direction of historical accuracy and beauty. That's the crazy thing. This is a dumpy little house, and what's proposed is going to improve it. So you got your first delivery of manure, and I think you got at least one more coming. But that's why I reside at 1512 South Hawthorne Street.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, fabulous. The applicant, you have an opportunity to respond if you'd like.
Yeah, I think just kind of speak on what John said. If we could pull up a couple of the slides. First one. So, yeah, right there. So I'm just trying to make it symmetrical now, and when it was that porch to the left-hand side, what's existing, when that was originally filled in, it was not very well thought out for that space. It was really poorly done, so I think it's gonna be more historically appropriate if I add the exact same window on the left-hand side. And I think it'll make it more usable for today's use. I think it'll make sense. These are gonna be the 2 items that are, have the most opposition, what I've heard, is that window, and then the next slide is this one with the French door. I think basically that'll be like a breakfast room. There are so many examples of these French doors within the neighborhood, like that are right next to or around a front door. To include Mr. Smith's house, he has almost an exact example of this. There's also, can you pull up the diagram of the neighborhood? Because I can point out about 6 other homes that have the same opening.
You're talking about this or like street?
I think what you guys had sent out, where it's like a map of the neighborhood. Maybe.
Street view.
Okay, so yeah, see that house just to the right of your, yeah, right, keep going a little bit. And if you turn to the right there, that'll be Mr. Smith's house, and he's gonna have a French door right above that hand that you have. It's pretty similar. And if you keep going down the neighborhood, there are so many examples of that opening. So I kind of thought it would be like even more historically accurate if I were to add that. And I think it would beautify the property. Beyond that, I had a party at the house last Friday for the whole neighborhood. And I had somebody playing acoustic in the front yard and had it catered, and had some food and drink out there, and there's some neighbors that all signed that in favor of it, favor of the project. But I have one opposition vote who didn't oppose it in '22 when it was approved, but now is. And so what I'm trying to do is just go forward with the same plan that has previously been approved. All right.
Great, thank you. Okay, we can move to commission discussion. So this is the COA that was approved, and I believe the application was exactly the same.
Okay. All right, commission.
I have a question.
This is just a rehashing of what we've already done.
Yeah. My question was just precedent on this, which is, if something's been already approved, what's the protocol for it to come back to the board after not starting with some questions we have now? What's the protocol when something has been previously approved? I mean, it's almost like it's a restart in general, correct? Or do we keep this record as a?
So if it's not started within 6 months, they have to get a new COA, and that's what's happened here.
Yeah, and, if we weren't 3 years out, it may have been just kind of a staff reissuance, but it's been so delayed that it needed to come back before the board.
It's not part of our record. I mean, it's been presented as a point of information.
I mean, you can move to make it as part of the record, if you think it's a weighty on the case. But, I mean, applicants are allowed to bring new materials for the board to look at.
Do we want to make a motion? I mean, everyone's seen it. Do we want to make a motion to enter it into the record?
I'll
Mr.
second.
Cabot moved. Do we have a second? Todd seconded. All in favor? Okay, so we'll make that part of the record.
All right, so just to be clear, this is the exact same proposal that was already approved under the exact same guidelines, no change to the guidelines since
Correct.
2022.
It appears.
So yeah, I have no issue with this, approving this then, in the same way that we approved it in 2022.
Would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve case HC 2554 at 203 Eveningside Drive, as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 1015E, and pursuant to the Ferger Place Design Guidelines.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
All right, great. So we'll move to our next old business case. This is HZ 2496 at 4425 Seneca Avenue in the St. Elmo neighborhood. It is a historic structure circa 1930. The proposed project is, it was a stop work order for windows that were replaced without a COA. And we'll have the applicant clarify their current request. The historic zoning history for the property in 2023, there were in-kind repairs of the existing siding that were approved. Here's an aerial of the property and the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. Here's some property photos. More property photos. And neighboring property photos. And the application information provided by the applicant, so a letter provided back in 2024 from the applicant explaining the situation, picturing of neighboring properties with similar windows, and then a map showing the work that Window World has done in St. Elmo. Picture of the front of the house with some of those windows replaced, and then the window specifications, the vinyl windows, and some interior pictures of the windows that were removed. So the relevant St. Elmo design guidelines is section 641 for windows. Item A should be preserved in their original location, size, and design with their original materials and number of panes. The applicant was denied window replacement but granted temporary approval for the vinyl windows to remain. We'll have the applicant confirm their current request. Item C should be repaired rather than replaced, but if replacement is necessary due to severe deterioration, the replacement should be in kind to match the originals in material and design. The windows on site are not deteriorated beyond repair. Staff visited the site to confirm the condition of the windows. The existing windows are in good condition and should be retained. The applicant has stated that the original windows that were removed are still on site but has not provided pictures. So we'll have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Greer Hampton. I live at 4425 Seneca Avenue. When this all originally came about, I did not know that a meeting with the Historic Society was necessary before replacing windows, but that has been some time. I began replacing the windows before getting approval and was told to stop work and come before you all and ask for permission to continue. And the initial request was denied. And so I guess I'm here to give an update on where I'm at with replacing the windows. The original plan was to replace the windows or put them back, the original ones back in the slots while garage work was being done, but the cost of it was, I wasn't able to do it at that time. We have quotes to be able to put the old windows back in and are just waiting to get on the schedule for when they can be, when the work can be done.
Great, thank you. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
So what action do we need to take, Cassie?
Sure, so this COA is one, it's been a year since it was issued. It's up on the screen. You can see that the window replacement was denied and the condition was temporary approval for vinyl windows to remain and the original windows to be repaired and reinstalled. I think the last time I spoke with the applicant, I was unsure of whether or not she was going to proceed with reinstalling the windows, so we're kind of bringing it back before you so that you can, if you'd like to reissue it under these circumstances, that's great, but we just need
Just reapproval?
a new motion, basically, yeah, a new COA.
Okay. I see. As long as the project is moving, I know this is a long and arduous process to get these windows restored. I've been through it myself. As long as the thing is moving forward, I would say we need to reissue temporary approval. Any other comments, commission?
That map that showed all the locations where this one window, company has installed windows, I mean, at what point do they? Because we've had a lot of cases asking for forgiveness on this particular company's behalf.
Yeah, and we haven't approved any of them to my knowledge.
Anyway, there's nothing to be said, I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah.
I can give a staff update on that. I've been working on an investigation into that process, so I can keep you all posted as that moves forward.
Okay, thanks, Cassie. Any other comments, or would someone like to make a motion?
So this is just to reinstall the wood windows and then continue the repair process of wood windows?
To continue, and it continues a temporary approval of, she can keep the vinyl windows there until the rest of the project is done. I would probably write the conditions exactly like they are on the screen.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve case number HZ 2496, 4425 Seneca Avenue, as submitted pursuant to Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 1015E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines. Approval is subject to the following conditions: temporary approval for vinyl windows to remain, original windows to be repaired and reinstalled.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Cassie. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to our next old business case. This is HZ 23-171 at 4423 Seneca Avenue in the St. Elmo neighborhood. It's not a historic structure. It was built, just finished recently, circa 2025. It is here before you today for as-built changes, so it was not built per the drawings that were approved at the Historic Zoning Commission back in 2023. So here is an aerial of the property and the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. And here are the property photos of the existing conditions, the neighboring property photos, and then the application information back from 2023 showing the site plan and the front and east elevations. You can see the windows were not installed in the correct location. They don't have the correct configuration. We're missing the headers above the windows, and the front porch columns and the arches were not installed per those drawings. Here's the rear west elevation and the right side north elevation and the left side south elevation. And the material list provided by the applicant. So should be vinyl clad wood windows. I asked the applicant to confirm what was actually installed, but they did not provide that that information, so hopefully they'll have it today. And then again, just some pictures from the final zoning inspection. So the relevant St. Elmo design guidelines, it's section 622 for new construction. Just going to skip over to item 5 for location and proportion of porches, entrances, windows, and divisional bays. Again, the drawing showed an arched porch panels and tapered brick columns. The as-built has no arched porch panels at the roof or tapered brick columns. New windows should be rectangular sash whose proportions on the main facade should not exceed 3:1 in height to width ratio or be any less than 2:1 in height. No horizontal sash, casement, or awning type windows should be placed on the fronts of buildings, and the use of plastic or snap-in muntins is discouraged. The windows on the house seem to have plastic muntins and do not match the original design. The drawing showed double-hung vinyl-clad windows with 6/1 on all sides. The windows on the front facade, including the dormer, do not have any muntins, and they are 1/1 windows, and they have been installed in the wrong place per the approved drawing, and the remaining windows are 6/6s. Again, for windows, wood construction is preferred, and it's that same response as before. However, the use of vinyl clad or aluminum windows is also acceptable. Item 10 for details and texture. Again, the proposed headers were not installed around the windows and doors, and the trim does not have any distinct dimension from the siding. So we'll have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Richard McElhaney. It's 4423. I'm a representative of the owner. We would just, I think this time we're gonna just try to get have this continued, and get, really we need to see what, really don't know what happened here. We had a material list, and had the builder build. Somehow, some things got, didn't get the right material get installed. So we're wanting to correct that. We're just trying to figure out what to correct at this point.
Thank you. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
Now, I'll say these look like basic vinyl windows to me, which is not what was approved. I mean, it really needs to go back to what the plan showed and what we approved.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to react to that because
So you would ask for a deferral and a design to come back of what changes they're requesting, I guess, Cliff?
I think so. I mean, I just having sat here long enough. Their function, especially
Sure.
today, and we go to 3 o'clock. We used to go to 3 o'clock sometimes doing these things, and I'd be happy to throw out some, maybe we to say this is exactly what you must do, but not be able to draw it, just write it. That's just not. Yeah, I don't even know what we would do. We would have to fall with a lot of conditions.
But don't we already have, I mean, a drawing just that gives us the thing that was approved to begin with? So, I mean, to be off the nose, there's like a clear change of windows and a change of tapering of brick. Obviously, we have some struggles with those arches because the roof line's already in place. But I do wonder if we could just collectively give some of this redirection that felt appropriate without wasting too much time.
Go ahead. I think to me, they're asking us to approve what's been built as is.
So, just a reminder if everyone could use your microphones, but also maybe it's worth having the applicants clarify. So I went out for final historic zoning inspection. As you can see, it was not built per the drawings, so it's back before you. Would the applicant like to clarify whether or not you are asking for it to remain as it is? Or are you willing to make some changes to meet the current drawing? So I think that maybe would help.
Yeah, I'm George, I'm the contractor.
Yes, if you could just state your name and address, please.
George Savage, I'm the contractor. Yeah, there's a possibility that we can get grids for the windows on the front to make them the 6 over the zeros. Also, we can do the trim above the dormers to match where the windows are. That's a possibility. As far as tapering the columns with the brick, that would be very, very costly, and not sure if that's even doable at this point.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, to me, we wear people out month after month and hear about windows, and I don't know that we've ever approved these or would we ever. That's an important element to this house. The trim elements around the windows are important and something that we pay attention to in here, again, case after case. Maybe we could live with the square columns. I don't think that's out of character. Not sure about the arches. Some other folks in here may want to speak into that, but to me, we wear people out about windows, and I want to be consistent and fair to everybody else that comes through here.
Well, I'm in agreement on the windows. The square columns don't bother me, but I think there could be some proposals for how to add a decorative trim piece or something to kind of offset the higher level of design that's in the illustration. So it would be helpful to just have a proposal, you know, of what can be done specifically to help address some of those issues.
So in other words, we're saying we're not accepting it as is, but we do want to request that the applicant comes back with the acceptable windows and an additional support for mirroring what was approved in the drawings. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that when you come back with actual proposal for what we're going to do to try to get this closer to the original drawings, I have no issue with the porch. There's plenty of porches in San Elmo, new and old, that don't have arches. And I agree it is very costly, so I would support that in a future proposal. But I also agree the windows are just completely defied the approval that was previously issued. And I think everyone would take issue with that.
I think I mentioned also, and maybe, obviously, these windows on the dormer, proportions just real large compared to the dormer, which is not proportionally, I mean, proportion is an important part of a review process, and, you know, just having the window where there's no trim between, the window trim turns into the dormer trim almost is, you know, to me, that's visually not a good proportion, and I know that's hard to quantify, but that's the type of thing where if something's approved and everyone says, yes, that looks good, it's real hard to then give direction. Well, what is a good proportion? Well, what was approved originally obviously was. This, I don't think any of us think it is.
Can you flip back to the front elevation of the plan? Okay. Okay, any other comments for the applicant before I assume we'll move for a deferral here?
I think we mentioned, there's a comment in the snap-in grids, but, you know, just in these guidelines, there's specifically, it says snap-in grids are not appropriate, so we would be very hard to approve snap-in grids if we have the guideline right here saying snap-in grids are not to be approved.
Okay, any other comments? Do we have someone that wants to make a deferral motion?
I make a motion to defer case number HZ-23-171, 4423 Seneca Avenue, as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 11, Section 10-15E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines.
Do it a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Cassie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to our next old business case. This is case HZ 23-134 at 5101 Tennessee Avenue in the St. Elmo neighborhood. It is a historic structure circa 1960. The proposed project is a rear porch addition. So you are seeing this today because we have a change to the design that was originally approved. So here's the aerial of the property and the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. And here are the property photos, the neighboring property photos, and then the application information provided by the applicant. So you can see the site plan. The footprint of this screened-in porch is not changing, just you'll see on the elevation the change. So here's the approval from October 2023. and the October 2025 proposal. Again, the footprint is not changing. You can see the new design here. Okay, the relevant St. Elmo design guidelines is section 6.1 for additions. Item B should be secondary, smaller and simpler than the original building. The rear screened-in porch is smaller in design and placement. Item C should be of a compatible design in keeping with the original building's design, roof shape, materials, color, and location of window, door, and cornice heights. The applicant originally proposed a hip-style roof but has amended the design to have a gable roof on the rear enclosed porch. And then item I, additions should be made to the rear, not sides of the house. The proposed rear screened-in porch is at the rear of the property, but the property does front 3 streets, Tennessee Avenue, Linwood Avenue, and West 51st. So we will have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Is there anyone else who wasn't sworn in at the beginning that's going to be speaking? If you don't care to just stand, raise your right hand. You as well. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you so much. And just state your name.
So I'm Josh Cooper. I'm the owner of 5101 Tennessee. Yeah, so we applied for this approval, the original approval, a while back. Did most of the renovation to the interior of the home, moved in, and really just decided we didn't want to cut all the extra light that comes in through the back of the house through windows that are beyond that screen. We also have views to the backside of Lookout, which got eclipsed by the lower roof line. And so we tried to still blend with the house. It still has a hip form, obviously the hip that extends out over the stair to the left. But the part that's over the screen porch proper is proposed to be a gable shape roof.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
Anyone have any comments or questions of the applicant? So the only thing that's changing, to clarify for me, is the roof. It was screened in before. All those elements are the same.
They're the same. Just switch from a hipped roof to a gable form over the screen porch area.
Gotcha.
You said it was smaller too, Cassie, but is it smaller? Is it?
Say again?
She said that it was smaller than the original approval, but is it?
She was referring to the addition in general as smaller than the house.
Got it.
Yes.
It's the same size porch exactly as it was. I think the hip portion that we put on the new design actually. The stairs in the same location, just the addition of that gable shape.
Reminder, this is in the back of the house, correct? Looks like a good solution to me.
Faces Linwood. I thought,
Okay, Commission, do we have any other comments or questions? Or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve case number HZ-23-134 at 5101 Tennessee Avenue as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-15E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines with no conditions.
Do we have any, a second?
Second.
Seconded by Cliff, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelby, I'm going to share this with you. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, our next old business case is HC 2456 at 1402 West 55th Street in the St. Elmo neighborhood. This is not a historic structure. It's a vacant lot currently under construction. We have some facade changes, window changes, and material changes. So here is the aerial of the property and then the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay, the property photos, and the neighboring property photos. And then the application information. So this is the previously approved design from June 2024. This is the previously approved amended design from May 2025. Here's the COA from May 2025, noting that the foundation is to be brick and no more than 4 feet in height, porch depth less than 6 foot, intended to set a precedent. And then this is the updated application information from the applicant. So they want to do a brick front porch floor. There is a covered porch on that back elevation. And then there's a window removed on the left side or the right side elevation, top right on the drawing there. And then just a note that this drawing does show the chimney as brick, but it will remain as board and batten siding is my understanding. And then the applicant is proposing this outdoor chimney as well. Here is a list of those changes that we can come back to. And then the staff report is section 622, new construction for the St. Elmo Design Guidelines. So item 5, location and proportion of porches, entrances, windows, and divisional bays. The applicant is proposing adding a second stair to the front porch, proposing a brick herringbone floor for the front porch, and the applicant is proposing adding a brick base to the front porch columns. Applicant is proposing a rear porch with a gable roof on the back elevation. Frame dwellings, if new construction is a frame, the preferred exterior material is horizontal wood siding, which is a minimum of 4 inches and a maximum of 6. The applicant is proposing to change portions of the siding on the front to a vertical board and batten. Windows, wood construction is preferred. However, the use of vinyl clad is also acceptable. The window configuration has changed on the rear of the dwelling. One window is to be removed on the right side elevation, and a transom window and door is proposed at the rear deck. And then 11, placement on the lot, front and side yard setbacks should respect the setbacks found along the block on which the building is sited. Just a note here again that the applicant is proposing a brick standalone outdoor fireplace at the rear, but it will be within a 6-foot privacy fence. So we'll have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Francesco Pizzuto, 4809 San Elmo Avenue. Can we go back to the photos? Yeah, right there. So, again, all the board and batten and the siding stays the same except for the front. And I'm working with somebody that's helping me design some stuff, and they took this photo, I guess, and put it in some kind of a application so the window placements look different, but they're actually, that's just because of the angle. But if we go back to the original, what we originally submitted, yeah, so there's other windows. Chimney, the shape has changed, but it is a board and batten. This window right here, we're taking this window out. This is actually the master bathroom, and the way that the new configuration just didn't work for that. And can we slide? See if I think there's another was in the water closet. This one's getting removed. And the transom that we see here is getting installed right here. So that's what's changing as far as windows. And then we're proposing a stair, brick stairs that come through here. And the columns, oh yeah, and the back porch with a gable roof on it. And I guess this window right here is this is the master on the back. And this is gonna be the door coming out to the covered porch. I'm trying to remember what else I did. Yeah, so you can see that here. It doesn't have the handrails on there, but we'll just do, standard, 36 to 42-inch height with, 2x4s on front and back, on this way. We've done it before here, and 2x2 spindles. And then it's not drawn on here, I just realized, but right here, and I think I have that in the application, or, yeah, I do. So right here, I'm proposing a landing, right here with the same handrails, and this is coming off of the kitchen. The columns, the person I'm working with that's designing kind of, the front elevation, thought it would be a good idea to have these brick, half columns. And then the floor of the porch, originally we had it approved with concrete. And so we're proposing this herringbone pattern just on the floor. All the rest of the brick, stays the same. Fencing, now she does have it here with, open. This is not what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do what we normally do in St. Elmo, which is, the dog-eared, and this is the back, and the front, it's, 2 to 3 foot fence, and the back is a 6 foot. And I think if we look at the, yeah, this right here, you can see this right here. So, this right here is, 2 to 3 feet, and this right here is 6 foot, 6 foot, 2 to 3 feet. I know she has it 4 to 5, but we're not doing that right here. And a gate right here. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Oh, the fireplace. So we're gonna do an outdoor area. This area is gonna framed in some sort of way, maybe with 57s or pea gravel, and then have a little chimney in this area. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify, staff can approve the fencing, so that's not part of your scope today. We're just looking at the site changes, I guess, and the changes to the materials and the elevations. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
Okay, commission, any comments or questions, issues with the changes?
Can you call up the original front view? What's the board and batten change on here?
Designer did. Yeah, so this is still board and batten, this is still lap, but this right here, this area right here is getting changed to board and batten.
You can see it more clearly on your,
Originally, all of this was lap siding, and now this area right here is getting board and batten.
it's a little more clear on your desktop than it is on the screen, commissioners. Okay, do we have any other questions or comments, or would someone like to make a motion?
probably we should reiterate that is this the third, and I'm not complaining, actually, thank you for asking us to change something before doing it, but I think we've said before, this is sort of an interesting lot and a unique lot, and it's been kind of, as I understand, sort of an eyesore that nothing's been there, and we're generally happy that there's a house like this there, and we're sort of letting it be a little bit more unique and whimsical, partially because it is in this kind of interesting triangular location, but I don't see anything that we wouldn't approve here.
You want to make the motion, Cliff?
Sure.
I agree. A unique solution to a unique lot. Thank you.
Okay, make a motion to approve case number HC 2456, 1402 West 55th Street as submitted pursuant to Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 1015E, and pursuant to St. Elmo Design Guidelines. Approval is subject to the following conditions. Rear porch handrails to be staff approved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right, we will move into our last old business case. This is case HZ 22-143, 503 Battery Place in the Battery Place neighborhood. It is not a historic structure. It's they're finishing up construction now. So again, this is a situation where you are reviewing as-built changes that were made and found during my final historic zoning inspection. So here's the aerial of the property, and then the property within the Battery Place Historic District overlay, and the property photos, neighboring property photos, and then the view from Veterans Bridge and looking at Veterans Bridge. This is the application information, so the previously approved plans from 2023, previously approved plans from 2023, so I've circled everything that has been a change in red, whether it's like a material or an opening, and I can go through those. So you can see, again, the previously approved plans here. Okay, and we'll go through some more images of the existing conditions on site that are different than those plans. So you can see there was a material change here at the front porch. This window does not match. I think we're missing an opening on this side. So none of the second story glass and steel porch features were installed, and I believe they have no intention to install them. We're missing windows on this rear facade of the garage. Here is that pool equipment, which I think was shown with some screening. And then the view from the Veterans Bridge side with some change to the openings. And there's a close-up of that front door area. And then the view from Veterans Bridge. So we are missing some of the proposed stairs that were included in those original drawings as well. So the relevant Battery Place guidelines, it's the new construction section and the guidelines for site design. So for the roof, just to note that original drawings showed the glass and steel rooftop decks on the river and Veterans Bridge side. These were not installed, and the applicant does not want to install them. Openings, doors and windows. Traditionally designed houses in Battery Place have distinctive window types and patterns and doorway designs that often relate to the architectural style of the historic dwelling. Various windows and openings have been altered or removed that were previously shown on the approved drawings. Porches and porticos. Because porches and porticos are so common in the district, strong consideration should be given to including a porch or similar form in the design of any new construction in the neighborhood. The street side inset porch has different colors, materials, and openings than what was previously approved on the drawings. And again, the rooftop glass and steel porches are not being installed on the riverside. And for the fences, walls, and walks, item 3, the design of new fences and walls should blend in with materials and designs found in the district. Commonly used materials are stone, brick, and wrought iron. Shrubbery hedges can also be borders. Often the materials relate to the materials used elsewhere on the property. So again, the proposed stairs and aluminum fencing along the riverside have not been installed. So if we could have the applicant's presentation, if you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Please let the record reflect that Nathan Bird is there.
There was a microphone here, I believe.
Yeah,
You're okay?
It's
Okay.
out of commission.
Okay. I'm Mitch Allen, the contractor for 503 Battery Place. And I was not the original applicant. I am a contractor, so homeowner and architect took, brought this to the commission, and then I received some, slightly different plans and or, some changes a little later on. It was to be their job to, if there were significant changes, to carry them before the board. But certain things that were decided along the way have placed me, so. Yeah, so we're not trying to necessarily change much, but obviously we're running to comply where we're meant to comply, and ultimately trying to, get approval for what is here.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
I'm gonna, just a comment first. Great project. This thing lights up that spot along a very visible place in our community, and I appreciate you guys' work. Great work.
I'm less concerned about the glass and steel porches protruding from the main structure, as that is, pretty far from a historic pattern, but I understand the contemporary nature of this project and what they're trying to accomplish. Can we look at the window openings at the front of the home? It's hard to tell exactly what.
Sorry, this opening is the one that has changed, and then just the materials here on this inset are different.
I can't
Otherwise,
tell that
they're good.
anything materially changes the
I can't either.
scope of the project, though. With that aspect, anyway.
I just wanted to make sure about the windows. Otherwise, I don't have a problem with the changes. Commission, does anyone have a problem or want to speak to the changes?
I agree with you on almost everything, and maybe this last thing is minor, but there are some, and maybe it's just because we didn't have original drawings of this, or the drawings had some, obviously you don't show everything. There's a photo that shows some pool equipment. Can you see that pool equipment from the bridge, and did the original design have some sort of a lattice, or some kind of, I wouldn't say wood lattice, because everything here is a little bit more than wood lattice, but there's some skirting and some fencing and some other things, and I don't, in this original drawing, as seen from Veterans Bridge, and I can't tell if that was meant to have pool equipment hiding behind it, or if this is, that would be the only thing that I would be concerned is there some pool equipment screening that we sort of inadvertently approved. I'm sure we never talked about the pool equipment, but now is it there where everyone can see it going across the bridge?
And I want to pose this as a question to the applicant. We don't want to be involved in designing for you. Do you have a solution for screening that pool area that we could consider?
See right now they have some large grasses there. My understanding all along was pretty similar to yours. It made sense that there would be a low wall. You can see, these really tall windows, some siding, brick roll lock. My thought was that there would be a fence, some landscape in front of it. If it's about the height of the roll lock, and that would help block, and the house is dark, you can paint that dark, it would match. As we're working through some landscape design, the owner
that. Truthfully, it's kind of surprising to me too. It made sense that you might want a heavier block there. Certainly the angle from, on this right picture that we see, it's very easy to see, but that's, 15 feet away. From the bridge, I'm not sure exactly how well you see it.
Across the bridge.
And I'd say you probably see it better than what this photo really shows. Your screens may show a little better. Installing a small fence doesn't seem like a project like this wildly cost prohibitive or even out of line.
Is there anything else that we would ask of the applicant? Okay, so I think we need a screen fence there for that and possibly the mechanical equipment on the side. Other than that, I think we're good.
If I may,
Sure, go ahead.
as you go up the side, there's a city fence and a lot of overgrowth. So I don't think that the HVAC equipment is seen, and it did not have any kind of original screening plan. So we see it, of course, as we're right on it, but right behind where you would be on this photo, it's just.
But you can't see it from the street.
Large natural brush, kind of buffer.
Gotcha.
Got those evergreens right there too.
Due to the location, I'm not as concerned about that. It is kind of tucked away. You'd have to be trying to find it.
And there were similarly some windows that were along the same wall that the owner just practically asked if you could pull out just for garage storage and that type of thing. But to the right, there again, we have lots of greenery and brush, and we even proposed perhaps some faux closed shutters and things that hold space. And he said, we're not really seeing this. I don't see a reason so.
Would it be reasonable, with regard to the pool equipment fence, would it be reasonable to condition it that the fence be the same height as the brick foundation there? And what I mean is, in your opinion, knowing the project more intimately than all of us that even drive by it and see it, do you feel like that fence height would be enough to cover it from the line of sight of Veterans Bridge?
My kind of quick off the hip is, I think so. Certainly as your perspective on veterans, you are lower, so you are looking up. I don't think you'll see up and over. So it feels like right about the height of that roll lock is going to make it, seems like it's plenty high enough.
All right, anything else, Commission?
And I'm not sure how the process works. Is that something that is built and does this
Probably
process
need-
end or do you build?
Probably need to get a staff approval from Cassie.
Yeah, you'll get an updated COA next week signed by the chairman, and then once you build it, you can call me and I'll go out, or you can send me a picture.
I make a motion to approve case number HZ-22-143 at 503 Battery Place as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-15E, and pursuant to the Battery Place Design Guidelines. Approval is subject to the following conditions: install fence screening around pool equipment, fence to be same height and as the brick foundation wall, fence to be to match the material and color of the hardy board.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded by Cliff. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move into our new business cases now. So our first case is HD 25-100 at 5500 Beulah Avenue in the St. Elmo neighborhood. This is a historic structure circa 1930. The proposed project is a garage and parking. Historic zoning history on the property is back from 2013 for a re-roof and foundation repair, window doors, and rear porch repairs. Here's the aerial of the property and the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. And here are the property photos. And the neighboring property photos. And then the application information provided by the applicant. So here's a survey showing the existing conditions. And then the proposed site plan. So in red, you see the proposed concrete drive and parking pad, and the blue is the proposed garage. And here is some more information provided by the applicant showing the view of the house. And here is that proposed garage. And then just some examples of some other garages in similar locations in the neighborhood. And then the material list provided by the applicant. So wood siding, 2x4 frame, plywood roof with asphalt shingles, glass windows, wood doors, and a concrete floor for the garage. And then the parking pad will be poured concrete. So the relevant St. Elmo design guidelines is section 6.9 for driveways and paving. Item B, which are new, should be located at the rear with access from the alley. The applicant is proposing to install a concrete driveway and parking pad off of West 55th. There is an existing curb cut. Item D, should have their parking areas located in the rear yard nearer the alley than the building and screened with hedges, shrubs, or fences where noticeable from the street. The applicant is proposing to install a concrete driveway in the parking pad off of West 55th. Again, there's an existing curb cut. And then item F, traditional paving materials for driveways include gravel and concrete, and the applicant is proposing concrete. For secondary buildings, section 622C, item 1, smaller in scale than the primary building. Yes. Item 2, simple in design but reflecting the general character of the primary building. The proposed outbuilding has a gable roof that mimics the gable roof on the primary dwelling. Item 3, located as traditional for the street near an alley or at the side of the dwelling, not close to or attached. Yes, the outbuilding is to the rear. Item 4, compatible in design, shape, materials, and roof shape. Yes. Item 5, preferably of wood siding. The shed will have wood siding. And then item 6, if readily visible from the street, secondary buildings should have an emphasis on historic designs and detailing. Just a note that the outbuilding will be visible from Beulah Avenue and West 55th Street. And we'll have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Address 5500 Beulah Avenue. As you can see, our presentation is pretty much self-explanatory. We have hedges that enclose our entire property. A block from our home, we have the wood shop, which hosts probably 5 nights a week of music and different venues. So a garage and a parking pad would be handy for us, considering we have continual parking coming and going every night on our street, all the way down our street. So having a garage and a parking pad at the exterior of our home, as well as having a place to store extra items for safety, is important to us. I think that's pretty much it.
Great, thank you so much. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
Quick question, is this a prefabricated or you're building it on site?
We haven't decided as yet.
Okay.
Depending upon what the board also suggests.
Gotcha.
As well.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments, commission? Do we have a material list? So the photo appears to have T111 siding, which I don't think is appropriate. We probably need to condition that. Any other comments? Would someone like to make a motion? Nathan?
The windows just say glass, doesn't say anything about the framing, and I'm trying to remember what we've done for secondary buildings like this in the past.
They probably need to be vinyl clad or wood, like we would approve on the house.
Yeah, I would also make that a condition.
What do we want to recommend for the wood siding? If we say we don't want to do the,
It could be hardy siding or wood siding to match the house, I would think. Lap siding, just not what's on that drawing. And I would say that the windows need to match the style of the ones on the primary structure.
you know, put in here aluminum clad wood window?
Aluminum or vinyl clad.
If it's a prefab one, sometimes you have a limited choice, and I know we approve a lot of the prefabricated garages. I frankly don't know what their windows are, but I think frequently we don't ask.
I think that, yeah, true.
I think generally when we're approving the prefab, it's on a temporary foundation, cinder blocks or something like that. I feel like this is a little more permanent in nature, just poured concrete. And
oh, yeah, that's true.
I think if they want to come back with a prefab structure, I'd be willing to hear that, but
yeah, that's
I think based on what we have, we need to condition it.
Okay.
You got this, Brendan?
I make a motion to approve case HC 25100 at 5500 Bayula Ave as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 1015E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines. Approval is subject to the following conditions: wood or hardy siding, and aluminum or vinyl clad wood window.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Cliff. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, we'll move to our next new business case. This is case HZ 25103 at 4705 Michigan Avenue in the St. Elmo neighborhood. It is a historic structure circa 1900 to 1917. This is a exterior rehabilitation and a screened-in porch / addition. So you can see here the Sanborn map showing that property in 1917, 1930, and 1955. This came before the historic zoning history from 2018. To repair and remodel non-original rear addition, repair front porch floorboards, repair the foundation, and exterior rehabilitation, including replacing windows, siding to be wood or wood composite, batten on rear. So here's an aerial of the property and then the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. And here are the these are some historic property photos we have from the surveys, I believe in the 1990s. And then the existing conditions, property photos. And the neighboring property photos. And then the application information provided by the applicant. So here's that rendering showing the proposed final product. You can see the changes to the front porch and that addition, as well as the vertical board and batten siding that's proposed. Here is the site plan showing that new porch addition off the front side. And then the floor plan. And then there's a window and door schedule. The demolition plan and the proposed main level plan showing that screened-in porch. And then the elevations provided by the applicant. I have a zoom in of each of those so that you can kind of see the proposal and materials listed. And then the material list provided by the applicant. So fiber cement board and batten siding, fiber cement shake siding in the gable. The railing and posts on the front porch are proposed to be cedar posts and a gridded wire railing. Horizontal screening over the foundation. Question for the applicant if any of the stone foundation is to be covered. New windows on the north elevation. The window schedule notes existing windows are to be reused. Are all the other windows to remain? And then a wood screened-in porch with the metal roof to match the existing with the same wire railing proposed at the front porch. So we're looking at the relevant St. Elmo design guidelines. We're looking at 6.1 for additions, 613 for foundations, 625 for porches, 633 for siding, and 641 for windows. So for additions, item A should be located at the rear of the building, not on the front or readily visible. The screened porch addition is proposed at the side and the front of the dwelling and will be visible from Michigan Avenue. Item B should be secondary, smaller and simpler than the original building. The proposed screen porch addition is smaller and simpler than the original building. Item C should be of a compatible design in keeping with the original building's design, roof shape, materials, colors, location of window, door, and cornice heights, etc. The applicant is proposing the same style and material of roof, but the materials and design of the screen porch do not match the historic design. The applicant is proposing a gridded wire half wall for that screened-in porch. Item F should be built in a manner that avoids extensive removal or loss of historic materials, which does not damage or destroy the main architectural features. We'll have the applicant confirm if any of the historic materials would be removed or damaged with the installation of the addition. Item I, addition should be made to the rear, not sides. Again, this screened porch addition is proposed at the side and front of the dwelling. Section 613 for foundations, item A should be preserved and maintained in their original design and with original materials. The applicant is proposing a horizontal screening over the concrete block foundation. There are portions of a stone foundation. We'll have the applicant confirm if this will be retained and or covered. Item B, between existing piers should be filled in as traditional for the type and style of the house, generally with wood lattice or decorative vertical wood boards. The applicant notes screening between the piers of the screened-in porch and the drawing shows solid panels. Item C should not be concealed with concrete block, plywood panels, corrugated metal, or wood shingles. Again, the applicant's noting the screening between the piers on the screened-in porch and the drawings show solid panels. Section 25 for porches, porch columns, and railings. Item B should not be removed if original. The existing front porch columns may be a later addition or covered in a modern material. The applicant is proposing to remove the post and the balustrade and replace with wire railing and cedar posts. This is not compatible with the period of the dwelling. Item C, their details should be retained intact with repair work and replacement of missing parts. The existing front porch columns, again, may be a later addition or covered in a modern material, and the applicant is proposing to remove them and replace with wire railing and cedar posts. Porches continued, just that same note as before. So again, historic porch columns and railings should be retained and repaired. If the original porch columns and railings are missing, replacement porch columns and railings should be appropriate for the architectural style and period. Item C, of aluminum, wrought iron, or other materials are not appropriate for front porches. Again, the applicant is proposing that wire railing and the cedar post. And then item D just goes into the detail for the architectural style. I'm happy to revisit that. Section 633 for siding. Item A, wood siding original to the building should be repaired rather than replaced only where necessary due to deterioration. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing vinyl siding and replace it with fiber cement shingle and board and batten siding. We'll have the applicant confirm if any of the original wood siding is present underneath the existing vinyl. Item C, the application of masonite over original wood siding is also not appropriate and discouraged. However, masonite may be used if the dimensions, texture, and color matches the original wood siding. Again, we'll have the applicant confirm what is existing beneath that vinyl siding and what it looks like. And then, sorry about that, item G, siding of particle board or press board is also not appropriate for the fronts of dwellings or sides which are readily visible from the street. Almost all frame dwellings in St. Elmo have horizontal siding forms. So again, the applicant is proposing that vertical board and batten siding on all sides. And then 641 for the windows, item A, should be preserved in their original location, size, and design and with their original materials and number of panes. The applicant notes that 2 windows will be reused in new locations. We'll have the applicant confirm if any other windows are to be removed. Staff has not conducted a site visit to confirm the condition of the windows. Item B, should not be added to primary facades or secondary facades where readily visible. The windows to be moved and reused are on the side. Item C, should be repaired rather than replaced. Again, we'll have the applicant confirm if any of the other windows are to be removed and replaced. And then just a note here that wasn't clear in the application materials. If any of the existing exterior doors are historic If so, will they be retained? And if not, we'll have the applicant provide proposed door replacements. Okay, and we'll have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Holly Ritchie, and I live at 4705 Michigan Avenue.
I'm Colin Hutz, and I live at 4705 as well. So just a quick background, I'm going to probably speak most since I've got a master's in historic preservation, 20-plus years in historic preservation, so I can kind of speak the language. I was on this board at one time. So there are a couple of things that I wanted to address that were questions that Cassie had right at the beginning. Well, first of all, I want to say in her notes, this house was not a part of the original National Register nomination, and I believe that's most likely, even though it is old, it's non-contributing structure to the district, and I would argue that that's the case now. The Sanborn maps show a house in 1917 through 1955 that's been significantly altered. There was about 6 feet added to the north side of the house at one point. And so on the north side, that foundation is concrete block, it's not stone. The only stone that that remains is on the south side of the.
Visible.
That's visible, right.
The stone foundation
That one right there.
is underneath the house, visible from the crawl space that was for the old footprint.
Go back to that bit. That's all concrete block right there.
That's not.
That's
that
the other
is.
side. This side where the compressor is the south side, and this is the north side. That's all concrete block.
That will remain.
So this whole side of the house right here is about 6 feet. About 6 feet in the crawl space right there is the original stone foundation on the other side. We've got the hump in the floor to prove that concrete block settled at some point. This part of the house right here was replaced. It was torn off as originally a porch that you can see on the Sanborn map. The previous owners enclosed it. It was rotting when Holly bought the house in 2012, and so that was removed and replaced in 2020. And 2018, 2020, so that was approved by the zoning commission. I don't know if you can tell from here, the house is essentially built on the side of Lookout Mountain. So right here, there's a small deck, a retaining wall, and then the hill goes up like that. House is about 1,000 square feet, it's very small. We do not have the option to add on to the back because the roof would essentially be at grade or lower, and extremely cost prohibitive to do that. It would probably put the roof line above the pitch of the original roof, which we know is not allowed in historic zoning. So we're looking to add a screen porch to give about 3 months of additional living space. The main motivation of the project is to give us more living space inside, so we decided to, by converting this room into a second bathroom, closet space, laundry, and then so we decided while we're doing that, we might as well remove the vinyl siding and make the house appear nicer by taking the siding off. So the other issue you asked is all of these windows, are vinyl windows that were added before Holly purchased the house. We did a wood, I think a vinyl, whatever was approved for these windows in the rear. When we take this window out to put a door in, it's going to be moved to here because this window right here is fogged up and it's not working anymore. So there are no original
Doors or windows.
No original doors, windows. There's really no historic fabric left of this house. In
So you can see even like there's a lead pipe for my railing.
There's the concrete block for that foundation. That stone, there's a little bit of stone right there, of course, will remain, and that will be hidden by the new screen porch for the most part. On the drawings, we did not go back to the architect and have her redraw the actual, she just filled in for under the front porch. But if you look at the front porch, there was a house down the street on Gill Trail you had in here that has the horizontal wood. Oh, and you said, well, not that, but while you're on this picture, you mentioned that vertical siding is not appropriate in the neighborhood. This is the next door neighbor's house in Boyd and Batten right here, so, we believe that that is appropriate for the neighborhood. That right here, so this is essentially gonna be what the screening is, except we're not gonna have the post. The boards are gonna be on the outside screening the concrete block that the front porch is on. Go back in front. Did you have that rendering that was up here? Yeah. So this is concrete block right here, and we're not doing board and batten. We don't think that would look good. We're gonna do the horizontal there. This will not be solid. It'll be the horizontal boards as well. The posts on the front are gonna be replaced with post. They're gonna be solid wood, which is part of the requirements. The fact that they're cedar, I don't think really is part of the purview of the historic zoning, because they're gonna meet, they're gonna comply with being wood. There are plenty of examples in the neighborhood that are unfinished and,
I wanted
natural wood.
4 instead of 3.
The other thing is we are gonna ask if we can do, we don't know why it's designed this way, but we can put 4 here, 2 on the corner and spread those out. That's mainly it. Did we hit everything?
I think so, yes.
The porch is probably, you have in your notes that it was pre, or the part of the historic zoning is something about pre-1945 porches. That's debatable. It has tongue and groove. I think it could be pressure treated tongue and groove. Decking, if not, it's at a very steep pitch. It's not very safe, and neither is that railing.
The low, yeah, it's a low railing with a steep pitch floor.
Okay, any other comments at this time? For you? Okay. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
All right, who wants to start us off? So do we know what's underneath the vinyl siding?
Sorry?
What's underneath the vinyl siding?
Asbestos.
Okay.
Asbestos shingles with, there's no original wood siding underneath there. The house is built with basically almost 8-quarter boards.
Okay.
The exterior and the interior is sandwiched 2x2s. And so that was the structural nature. When we renovated the gaps are about, a half an inch between that, so it's not original exterior.
Okay.
You're saying there's no original exterior siding?
None.
Okay, removed at some point down to sheathing.
It was removed and the asbestos shingles were put on there.
All right, any other comments or questions, or someone want to make a motion on this? If not,
I feel like there's a little more to discuss here about the porch. We at least should mention this. I mean, we have a guideline. And we've looked at this in the past where we have these properties set into a hill where you can't build behind, but on the other hand, we do have a guideline that's pretty clear about no porches in the front part of the house. No, and we've certainly been fairly strict And I don't, maybe it's fine here, we'll, all as a commission say, well, you can't put a porch on on the rear, so we'll just let one on the side, but I feel like, you know, we should at least say, if everyone is okay with the porch being on the side, that this is not intended to set a precedent for other porches, because I know there's been a number that we've not approved on the sides of houses and asked for them to be removed.
Yep. Agreed. I think the land,
55 and 9.
I think the landscape,
sorry, I'm
I
listening
think
to-
the lay of, or the topography of this one, I think is what you're headed
The
toward.
topography,
Cliff.
exactly, I think we
Len-
would approve that,
Lends to this being
based on the
approved.
topography, but not based on the, just always approving porches on the side. I think
Right.
we need to say that.
Does anyone have, is it,
5509 Alabama.
gotcha.
They have the hill in the back as well, so I'm
Yep.
assuming that's
I think that's where we're heading with it. Anybody have any issue with the siding? That seems to, that board and batten changes the character of this house. Does anybody have issue with that?
We say specifically no vertical siding, but we've worked through several times that I think the new guidelines that are coming out are not gonna have that, and we've allowed vertical board and batten. We don't allow T111.
Right.
And this is fiber cement board and batten. There is board and batten next door. I understand there's a condition requested to not use the vertical board and batten on the porch foundation. And the porch foundation already has siding on it, so we're not discussing the appropriateness of putting siding on the foundation. That is something else in the guidelines. It's very clear, don't put wood siding on a foundation. But that's already there. We're just taking it off and putting other siding.
I saw a photo with horizontal siding on that lower part. Is that what's proposed? Yeah, okay. Horizontal, what is going back?
It's the same as the house, what's on the hill.
Is that staying or is that changing?
We're removing all the vinyl. And
So under the front porch there, what,
underneath the front porch, behind the vinyl is cinder block.
and what are we going back with?
The vertical,
Horizontal.
horizontal, wood that is like the house down the street.
Okay. But this drawing shows vertical siding under the, that's not the intent. Okay.
And the architect did not put stone foundation on this south elevation,
Got it.
which
Okay,
will
thank
be
you.
stone. We will not cover that up. And it would have been my preference for stone to be everywhere on the foundation, but that's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah, and that horizontal on the side.
And what's the intent with the handrails on the front porch?
That's my next question. And also the columns, you said you're adding another one that's not reflected here?
Right.
Well, that didn't come up until we just recently looked at it like that. It's the columns right in front of the door.
So balancing 4 columns, so the other 2 would be between the windows and the door, and have 4 columns instead of 3.
Could I just make a note? We've made this point already in this meeting today. Is it worth having them come back with drawings that are accurate? There's a lot of kind of on-the-fly changes. I mean, that's up to you all, but it is something that we discussed earlier.
Okay, yeah, let's,
Well, then if you're gonna do that, then I'd rather you just approve the way it is. We'll come back with just the porch if we decide to change the porch. I don't wanna hold up. We've already got held up a month because uploading these drawings didn't work with the city's
Mhm.
software. So I don't wanna delay it again. I mean, we're getting into winter. It's gonna be hard for us to do this work during the winter anyway, so we might be up against a 6-month deadline as well.
gotcha. Well, there may be some other issues here that we sort out, so let's get through the discussion, then we can decide what we want to do.
What about the railing? Do y'all have any issues with the condition of just typical 2x2 wood balusters? Is that an issue for y'all? I think that's what we would do normally.
That's not what's drawn necessarily, or it's hard to tell.
No, it's a wire railing.
Yeah, I would condition that, not using the wire railing and just using typical wood 2x2 balusters instead.
Yeah.
That's what you want, not what's drawn here, right? You want 2 by 2, you want,
It doesn't matter, if you prefer. I like the other look, like that is down the street, that has the wire inserts. But if you would prefer it to be, a different way, then I'll go with that.
The lack of historic integrity to this house kind of lends itself to making changes that are a little bit more modern as houses evolve. But I don't think that, I mean, I understand that's, that gets approved on new houses in the neighborhood, but not existing houses.
I was on the fence either way, so I really, if you would.
and how old is this house? I mean, I think it's historic by its age.
Yeah, 1917.
It's not historic.
Okay, well, we're not gonna debate that here.
Well, it's not, it wasn't included as a contributing structure, so if it were, I've done historic resources surveys before, I did one in Highland Park, so, I mean, it does.
Again, we're not gonna debate that here.
I think it's a handmade shack.
Okay,
That's the way it is. And it's built.
all right, commission. Does anybody want to make a motion based on what we have, or are there other questions that we want answered? Are we okay with what's on the paper?
With the condition of like the porch coming back with some detail or some of the other materials? Or, I mean, we don't want to defer them necessarily, but we're just clarifying that the,
We could condition it a certain way. We could do a staff approval. We could ask for them to come back with a drawing. Those are kind of the options.
Also, there's a lot here, and I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. I'm a little stuck on I see the existing stone foundation, that's not gonna be covered. Typically, if we have an existing block foundation, someone may parge coat it, may stucco it. I'm sort of stuck on the code, or the zoning guidelines say, don't add siding to a foundation wall, and it appears we're approving siding where siding never was over that CMU foundation wall. I think that's, that, I understand the look, that these guidelines were written to avoid, where you get wood that just goes all the way down and touches the ground, or siding that goes all the way down and touches the ground, and I don't know that we should approve expanding that. It's already on this house on the front, on the porch, and it's fine with me if it just goes back that way, but I don't know that I would approve adding it on the side, on the side where there's no siding going down to the ground.
Is anyone gonna make a motion?
Oh, shoot, let's just do it. But let's make sure that, so we're doing this with conditions, right? Like, we're gonna approve subject to 4 things that I've understood?
Yeah.
Mentioned? Okay, and those 4 things are 2x2 balustrades instead of the wire on the
Right.
porch, moving the center column, getting rid of the center column and having double columns on each end, horizontal siding at the porch that's existing with siding, but we don't want horizontal siding added where there's stone or other materials. Does that sound correct?
Yep.
Okay.
We have a horizontal in the application front, so if you might just want to say not on the side.
Not on the side.
And are you fine with the wire balustrade around the screened-in porch? That's how it's shown currently.
That was his first condition, was the.
Yeah, I think that would be all, for.
Okay, just want to make sure it's for everything and not just the front porch. Thank you.
And we are okay with this house going from a horizontal house to a vertical siding house. Is everybody on board with that?
Yeah, given how much this house has been through, there's really no way to tell what was there originally. Certainly not vinyl. And there is some remnant on that last, well, okay.
That's
Here we
the,
go.
I think the asbestos.
asbestos.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're also just, sorry, a quick note, proposing the cedar or the, like, shake siding in the gable as well.
Yeah. I just don't see enough to hold anyone one way or the other, honestly.
Okay.
On the porch columns, was the intent to have a pair and a pair, or would it have 4 equally spaced? Or-
Almost equally spaced. The windows are not symmetrical, and so I've done some measurements to make it so that they wouldn't block the view of the window, but it would need to be, I gave the
Maybe we say the front porch will have 4 columns instead of 3 to be spaced so as to not block windows or door or something like that. I understand the desire.
Yeah, I get
4
what you're
columns
saying.
instead of 3.
Okay, so 4 columns instead of like double on the end, just 4 equally spaced. Does that sound correct?
Somewhat equally spaced.
Roughly equally spaced.
Yeah.
I live my life like that.
Just want to keep in mind that these conditions need to be, enforceable when I go out for final zoning inspection, so. Otherwise, we'll do what we did at the beginning of the meeting and see these folks in a few months. Not necessarily, but.
You can't measure somewhat? I've got a ruler you can borrow that works.
I would also make a note about the side porch being approved due to the topography and is not intended to set a precedent.
Here we go. I make a motion to approve case number HZ-25-103, 4705 Michigan Avenue, as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-15E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines. Approval is subject to the following conditions: all balustrades 2x2 wood, not wire. 4 columns on the front porch spaced proportionally. Horizontal siding at the base of the front porch, but not on the sides. And side porch approval is not intended to set a precedent.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nathan, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to our next new business case. This is HZ 25-113 at 4401 St. Elmo Avenue in the St. Elmo neighborhood. Is a historic structure circa 1900 for the primary dwelling. We are looking at the outbuilding today. This was a correction notice for an outbuilding that was converted into a dwelling space that is now being converted into a non-dwellable studio space. But obviously, you all are looking just at the exterior changes that were made. In 2018, we had a historic zoning case for the exterior rehabilitation of the carriage house, which is a separate outbuilding. So here's the aerial of the property and then the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. Here are the property photos. Some more property photos of the existing conditions. This is the building that you are reviewing today. And then the neighboring property photos. There's the application information, so the site plan showing that outbuilding. There's a floor plan of it, of the outbuilding. And then some images of the existing conditions on the left and what it was converted from on the right. This is from Street View. And then the material list for, again, the existing conditions at 4401 St. Elmo Avenue. So it has metal roofing, fiber cement siding, metal frame, single pane windows, metal lock exterior French door, and a pressure treated front porch. So relevant St. Elmo design guidelines are section 622 for new construction, item C. For secondary buildings, item 1, smaller in scale than the primary building, yes. Simple in design, but reflecting the general character of the primary building. The existing outbuilding has lean-to roof forms. Item 3, located as traditional for the street, near an alley or at the side of the dwelling, not close to or attached. Yes, the outbuilding is to the rear of the primary dwelling. Compatible in design, shape, materials, and roof shape to the main building. The outbuilding has lean-to roof forms and multiple windows on the front facade. Item 5, preferably of wood siding. However, if located along rear alleys or towards the rear of the lot, secondary buildings may have exterior siding such as masonite, aluminum, or vinyl. The outbuilding has fiber cement siding. And then item 6, if readily visible from the street, secondary buildings should have an emphasis on historic designs and detailing. The outbuilding is visible from Alabama Avenue and West 44th Street. And we can just have the applicant's presentation. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Maria Cardillo. My address is 4401 San Elmo Avenue. I've been living in my home for 4 years.
Okay. Did you have any additional comments for us at this point?
I'd really like not to have to change it.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to community comments or comments by other persons if we have any. I do want to note that I did receive an email in support this morning, which was past our deadline, so it wasn't included in your packet, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. But if you can just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Charity Martin. I'm at 4412 San Elmo Avenue, and I've been Maria's neighbor since 2002 in the neighborhood. Maria is what I consider like a legacy neighbor in our neighborhood, just because she's been here since the 80s, you know, for 40 plus years. And I've been to countless dinners, art discussions, bonfires, you know, events with friends and with neighbors over the last, you know, 23 years that I've lived in the neighborhood. I actually rented from Maria when we first got married, and then I bought my house from Maria across the street on San Elmo Avenue where I still live. So I'm just here as her friend, as her neighbor, just to support her, and just state that her property is beautiful. I think it's an important property in our neighborhood. This structure is relatively well hidden, I guess, from 44th. She's got large trees, and it's just difficult to see. I had another neighbor tell me, I've driven by that house 100 times, and I've never noticed that building before. So it is discreet. So, and that's all. Thank you, commissioners.
All right, thank you. The applicant, you have the opportunity to respond if you'd like. Otherwise, we'll move to commission discussion. Okay, great. We'll move to commission discussion.
So can you put is there a side-by-side of what's kind of going on here?
Before and after, and then I can pull up Street View if that's helpful as well.
Gotcha. And this is I mean, for our purposes, this is not a dwelling. Art studio. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I would want to review this the same way as we would review a shed. What's the foundation on this? Do you know? The foundation material here?
It doesn't look like there is one.
It doesn't look like there is one.
On the
It's
right
just
side.
sitting on
There's a
piers.
shed up
On blocks.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I would review this the same way we review
A
the
shed.
temporary sheds. I don't see any, if anything, it's significantly improved from what was there before.
Yeah.
And it matches the character of the home and the surrounding homes much better. Having the horizontal lap siding and the windows match much better. So I don't see any issues with this.
Any
So
other- Go ahead, Cliff.
This is not just changing, this is an added structure though, right? There's a structure, the old picture, the red picture showed something smaller. So there's an addition to the outbuilding, is that correct? It's wider than it was. Yeah, so there's another piece. that's
So
been
it's
added to it.
more shed as far as we're concerned,
More shed.
I would think.
Yeah, and just to clarify, we do review ADUs, sheds, any kind of outbuilding are all under the same
Yeah.
section in the design guidelines, so.
Yeah, just for context though, I mean, it's not another house in the backyard or an ADU. It could be seen as a temporary structure based on the foundation design that I see. Does anyone have any issue with it, or would we like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve case number HZ-25-113 at 4401 St. Elmo Avenue as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-15E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines with no conditions.
Nathan seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to our next new business case. This is case HZ 25-115 at 4910 St. Elmo Avenue. In the St. Elmo neighborhood, it is a historic structure, circa 1920. This was a stop work order for the front porch changes, like repair and replacement that was being conducted without a certificate of appropriateness. So you can see on the Sanborn map there, 1930 and 1955, and then the section from the National Register nomination. There is no historic zoning history on this property, so it looks like the front porch was altered between April 2021 and November 2021 per the street view, which I can show you all. We don't have a record of a COA or code enforcement from that time, so we're kind of capturing all these changes now. So I'll go through the presentation. Here is an aerial of the property and then the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. Here are the property photos. So the image on the left is before the work, and then on the right is after. And so that image on the right you'll see is from 2021. So the screening was removed in that short wall. The neighboring property photos. And then the application information provided by the applicants. You can see the site plan here. And then the application noting that new posts highlighted in red were both replaced with 6x6x10. They plan to wrap the post to fit the same exact style as before with the trim piece at the top. Replace the exterior boards below the deck by the flower bed and step, added a waterproofing membrane. New porch was completely replaced, highlighted in blue with 1x6x8 pressure treated deck boards. One step was built the length of the deck. The fencing is not part of this part of your review. So we're just looking at the porch here. So those are the columns that were removed and then the existing conditions. And then this is an image of the property from that 1990s survey. And then the material list provided by the applicant. So the relevant St. Elmo design guidelines, we're looking at section 625 for porches, porch columns, and railings. Item B should not be removed if original. The applicant removed existing porches, the existing porch, and reinstalled new columns and flooring. There were changes made to the front porch in 2021 as well, including removing a knee wall and the screening. Item C, their details should be retained intact with repair work and replacement of missing parts such as columns, posts, railing, balusters, decorative moldings, and trim work. The applicant, again, same, removed the existing porches and reinstalled new columns and flooring. Changes made back in 2021, and the applicant is proposing to wrap the columns in the same trim that was removed. And then item J should have wood tongue and groove flooring running perpendicular to the facade. So the applicant replaced the flooring. The flooring is running perpendicular to the facade, but it is not tongue and groove. Porch is continued. Item A should be preserved and maintained. If repair is required, use materials to match the original in dimension and detailing. Just the same note of the materials that were removed recently and in 2021. And then item D talks about the specific dimensions for the architectural style. So we can have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Owner of 4910 St. Elmo Ave. The reason why we ended up taking those, the porch decking out, it was really rough, old, not smooth. And then we could have cut the edge, but it went actually before that big like beam. And then when they went to pull the wood, the beam was rotted, so they ended up suggesting to remove that. We were actually just going to rewrap the post because they were pretty damaged. And when we went to take it off, there was actually nothing holding it. So there was no 6x6 on the inside. It was just that the 1x12s holding up that whole porch. Yeah, and what we would like to do, because that is pretty short and there's a big drop on the other side. I guess before they had the what is it called? D-wall. Yes. So we just want to do whatever goes with the aesthetics of the neighborhood, maybe like 2x4s going horizontal, almost like a semi-privacy look going up, or really whatever, because I was trying to look for something similar to that in the neighborhood, but I didn't really find anything the last couple days. So just figuring out something, maybe we just kind of build it higher, or whatever you guys recommend for us to do to kind of keep that safer. Because I want to say it's like 2 feet tall. But I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? Okay, we can move to commission discussion.
Go back to the side-by-side of what it was and what it is. And you're proposing to rewrap the 6x6s that are there existing.
Yeah, just to make it exactly how it was on the left.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the old post looked like. And then we were gonna get that wrapped, but we didn't get the material that day, and it was the last day.
Gotcha. And again, what do you want to do with the knee wall on the right? Are you wanting to make it higher or put it back as is?
Make it higher, and we can go with the same aesthetic that it is, or and stain it like a joppa beam,
Okay,
where it has like spacing,
gotcha.
like 1 inch spacing.
And the only other issue I think we see is the floor material, which I'm not.
I feel like we've approved standard planks before. Maybe I'm misremembering.
There is at least one company that makes an exterior tongue and groove, but for years, you couldn't really get anything that would last on the outside to match the old 1920s, 30s tongue and groove floor. So we have approved the tongue and groove like this.
So other than the floor, it appears it's been replaced in kind. If we're good with the floor, I think someone can move for an approval.
I think it's worth noting on these columns, it's actually, until sometime in the 80s, a porch column like this never had structure because the wood is good enough to hold it. So having a hollow column is totally normal. What I see that's been removed does not, in those pictures, I see one that's split, but that split looks like coming from demolition. I want to be careful here, putting this back in like kind. These have a slight taper to them, unless the photograph One of the other photographs is wrong. They taper a little bit, which I think is quite nice. You know, they're wider at the bottom than the top. That's the kind of detail that I hate to lose, especially if something was in pretty good shape. And if what was there is on site, a good carpenter can match that. But it's easy for it to get ignored, so I'd want to put, you know, in like kind means any taper that's there and all that sort of thing too, because that makes the house nice, to having something that tapers down. This, you see that one behind the downspout is more narrow, and then it gets a little wider. That sort of thing is hard to get back once you lose it. So I'd want that to be in a motion.
Yeah, this being on the front of the house, I would also want a specific range for that height of that wall. I wouldn't want it going above 42, but I'm not positive what code is, whether it's 36 or 42 inches.
It's going to be 36. It'll never be 42 for a house. It'll be up. 36 is the requirement if there's a 30-inch or greater step down going over the edge. If it's less than a 30-inch step down, there's no requirement at all.
I just don't want it to become a divider, you know, so if we could raise it, right, exactly, if we could raise it to 30, you know, put a maximum of 36 inches. Is that okay with you?
All right, who wants to make this motion, or are there any other comments?
I would not have, if this were proposed before the work was done, I would not have approved standard deck board. I would have pushed for the tongue and groove, but I don't, just want to put that in, because since we're recording this here, but it's already done. I don't think there's significant enough change in the character of the porch to try to enforce a removal of standard deck board.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one question. If let's just say it's
I think we'll leave that to you as to how,
would that be okay with y'all?
how to do it. I think we're just gonna say not more than 36 inches. Is that reasonable, Commission?
Not needing a staff approval for that, right?
I don't think so. All right, is someone gonna write this one up?
I'm writing unless someone else is.
Okay, Cliff's got this.
Wait, you said front porch columns, and then the sidewall just to be rebuilt in like kind to a 36-inch height?
The maximum 36.
Okay, I make a motion to approve case number HZ 25-115, 4910 St. Elmo Avenue, as submitted to Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 1015E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines. Approval is subject to the following conditions: rebuild front porch columns to match historic columns, including detailing, width, and any taper. Porch knee wall to be rebuilt in like kind, except not to exceed 36 inches in height.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. Seconded by Matt. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move into our last new business case. This is case HZ 25-117 at 5415 Beulah Avenue in the St. Elmo neighborhood. It's not a historic structure. It's circa 1972. The proposed project is a shed in the rear yard. So here's an aerial of the property, and then the property within the St. Elmo Historic District overlay. The property photos, you can see it from Virginia Avenue, and then from Beulah. And some more property photos showing that rear yard, and neighboring property photos. Here's the site plan provided by the applicant, so you can see proposed again in that rear yard. The applicant also was recently approved for a 6-foot rear privacy fence. And here is the proposed tough shed and the details for that. And so the relevant St. Elmo design guidelines are section 622C for new construction of outbuildings. So secondary buildings, item 1, smaller in scale, yes. Simple in design, but reflecting the general character of the primary building. Shed has a gable roof form like the primary dwelling. Item 3, located as traditional for the street, near an alley, or at the side. Yes, the outbuilding is to the rear. Item 4, compatible in design, shape, materials, and roof shape to the main building. Yes. Item 5, preferably of wood siding, but it can be masonite, aluminum, or vinyl based on the location, and prefabricated. The prefabricated shed, again, is proposed at the rear along Virginia Avenue. And then item 6, if readily visible from the street, secondary building should have an emphasis on historic designs and detailing. The prefabricated shed is proposed at the rear along Virginia Avenue, and the applicant, like I stated previously, was also approved for a rear privacy fence, and the shed will not be visible from Virginia Avenue based on that installation. We just have the applicant's presentation. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Jamie Lake Wilcoxon. I'm representing Bill Malloy at 5415 Beulah Avenue. So as you can see there, where the yellow is across the back of the property is where the privacy fence is going to go, and where the green is the approximate location of where the shed's going to be. It's a 10 by 12 shed, like an engineered wood siding, gable roof. The color of it's going to match the home, and it's going to face the same direction of the home. That's pretty much it.
Fabulous, thank you. Do we have any community comments or comments by other persons? No? Okay, we'll move to commission discussion.
So can you flip back through the site plan? The yellow, where all is the privacy fence going?
I'm referencing like Virginia Avenue across the back, so it'll be completely blocking where the shed's gonna be.
But it's coming all the way up the sides also?
No, there was a separate diagram. It's just gonna go up to like where the pitch is in the roof. So it's gonna go up the sides.
Yeah, so I previously approved that fencing. It will come, just like she stated, about right here on the
Gotcha.
sides.
Okay.
All the way back.
Perfect. All right. Any questions, comments? Someone want to make a motion? Brandon?
I make a motion to approve case HC 25-117 at 5415 Bayou Ave, as submitted pursuant to the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 1015E, and pursuant to the St. Elmo Design Guidelines.
Do we have a second?
Aye.
Cliff seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.